Hey guys, Coach B here, currently displaced by Hurricane Sandy, but one monkey don't stop the show. I'm here bringing information to you live from my parents' house in New Jersey, and here's a great video recently recorded with a friend of mine, Tracy Wilson, who's a trainer in New York, talking about the downside of extreme behavior in terms of exercise and nutrition. So check it out and let me know what you think. I'm hanging out with my good friend Tracy Wilson. It's been a while. How you doing?
Good, I'm doing fine.
First of all,
very well.
You are well known to people familiar with my channel because you were one of the early transformations we talked about. Your body transformation was amazing. And you are a New York City-based trainer, getting ready to leave us, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
To head to California, which we're so mad at you about.
I'm sorry. You're breaking up.
That stinks. I said you're getting ready to leave us for Cali, which we're so mad about. What's so good over there that you're leaving us for, besides 70-degree weather all year long?
It's exactly what I'm leaving you for. It's exactly what it is.
Hilarious. So, okay, catch us up, because the last time we really checked in, you had just finished you were competing.
Yeah.
And so, catch me up on the last, what has that been, like a year and a half, 2 years now?
Yep, it's been a year and a half since I last competed, and I don't know if I'm going to compete again, but, you know, I've just basically been working out, trying to find different workouts, as opposed to doing hours and hours and hours of cardio and, you know, really restricting my diet. It can be a little bit hard on your body, so that's when I came into CrossFit, and me and Shannon, my sister, came into CrossFit at the same time.
Right.
And so... like randomly we came into it at the same time. So that's what I do now, although I've had to take 2 weeks off because I have an old grappling injury that's starting to affect me pretty much with my Olympic lifting.
Right.
Which, yeah.
Pretty cool. So when we were checking in, you and I were going to talk about a specific topic that's near and dear to you and that you have some input on, and we're going to talk about going to extremes.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, preface me. Give me a, what are we, when we're talking about nutrition and working out and going to extremes and how that can be a negative thing. And so you kind of, what was your thought behind the title and what's your the topic?
So I thought about this. I actually thought about this. A friend of mine asked me to speak at his fitness center, and just thinking about what I'm going to talk about, and through my experience of being like really super heavy and then really, 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 really super thin.
Really lean. You were tight.
Really lean. I refer to myself as a little bit of a bobblehead.
Okay.
So I used to weigh 240 pounds, and I fluctuated a lot, from like 170 to 150, then back up to, 200 pounds, then back again. And finally, I just dropped, over 100 pounds to compete. So I was sitting at like 125, which is really hard to maintain, obviously, being 5'9" and, just being built like I am. It's very hard to maintain that. So it's like I've been to every kind of extreme. I've done every kind of diet, and you're so inundated with like the media and everything telling you that everything is extreme, like everything, like extreme razor blades, extreme shaving cream, it's like extreme, extreme, extreme.
Right.
That.
They got to sell it. They got to sell that stuff.
Got to sell it.
Right.
So it becomes part of the culture, and it becomes sensationalized to the point where people think they need to go to extremes to fit in, to look good, to, feel a part of some sort of community. I think it's, been skewed a little bit in saying like, okay, well, if I am not, 100% lean, and I don't have the body of a model or like this, and I don't go to extremes to get that, I'm not going to fit in. I'm not going to look good. I'm not going to feel good about myself. Right. And then on the other end of the spectrum, people just say, well, I can't get there. I don't want to do it. It's so much hard work. I'm just going to just say, screw it. And just, I'm just going to go all the way the opposite end and indulge and eat as much as I want and not work out.
Right. So, Shannon, for 1 second, Shannon, I'm calling you your sister's name. I'm sorry, Tracy.
All
right. So, just for people who aren't familiar with this story, like you kind of touched on it for a minute. You at your heaviest were 225?
240.
240. Right.
Yeah.
Now, just quickly, and I know you can go into a lot of detail on this, but not to do it, to get down to 125 competition weight, talk about some of the extremes you had to go to get there.
Okay, so basically it was just a really restrictive diet. So I didn't eat carbs basically for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I cut all carbs out except vegetable carbs. I was actually allowed a carb day with my competition nutritionist, but I opted out of it because it made me feel really hungry because it raises your insulin levels when you're being in such a ketonic state. So I opted out of that, so I didn't eat carbs for 2 years. I did up to 4 hours of cardio every single day. And that was my life. I would wake up at 2 a.m. I would do a couple of hours of cardio till about 4:30. And then I would go train my clients, and then I would do more cardio, and then I would do my actual job, and then I'd train more clients, and then I'd do more cardio.
Right.
So I would walking from 112. So the cardio is, very low. You don't have to be running everywhere. So I'd walk from 112th Street all the way down to the South Ferry and back again, and that would be my cardio.
Wow.
Yeah. So
okay.
It's a good, yeah.
So a lot of nutrition, a lot of, restricted dieting, and a lot of cardio, and you dropped, all that weight over a 2-year period. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
so it took me it took me about 16 weeks,
mm-hmm.
which is, in the whole scheme of thing, it's not a very long time, especially because, and I was really dedicated because I'm like, I have to wear a peanut shell and fishing string basically on stage. This tiny little bikini in front of all of these people. I am not letting anything be loose.
Right. But 16 weeks to do what?
To drop and be stage ready. So
from where to where? Because you're gonna confuse everybody. You're gonna confuse all my people. Are gonna say, well, how come I can't do it in 16 weeks? Like, how come I can't drop 100 pounds in 16 weeks?
Oh no! I was 165 by then. Okay. 165 pounds by then.
Mm-hmm. So
I had dropped a majority of the weight over years. So I pretty much maintained very well. And about 165 to 125. So I dropped about 40 pounds in 16 weeks.
Right.
Still quite a lot of weight fast.
Yeah, and that was a lot of water as well. I'm sure you did a lot of dehydration and carb cycling and things like that.
Yeah. So the last week you basically carb load, this is when I took in carbs for a couple of days, and then you carb deplete, fat load, you eat a lot of fat.
Right.
And then you salt deplete and water deplete, so your skin is kind of like paper.
Right.
Yeah.
So for people watching, this is not a strategy you should ask me about if you're just trying to walk around and be a regular person. This is a show or photo shoot, methodology in order to drop that weight for a temporary low, and then you're going to come back up.
Oh yeah, you drop 10 pounds or so that week, but it's not the healthiest thing to do, obviously, because you're dehydrating your body, your sodium potassium pump, which is, not to get too technical, it's basically, your whole Krebs cycle and your whole everything becomes skewed. So that's why a lot of people, once they salt deplete, they lock up because they have no sodium and potassium in their system, which is pretty dangerous. So it's a huge extreme to go to get on stage and prance around in heels and a bikini.
Right. Okay, so now, and then, I'm sorry. I've got 10 thoughts to ask you at one time. So talk about the next 3 months after your show. Did you see a rebound, and where did you go to weight-wise after the show and after you left that extreme low?
Right. So I still continued with working with my nutritionist and seeing my nutritionist, and now she is a competition nutritionist. She's not your regular. She is a dietitian, registered dietitian, diabetes counselor and such, but she really specializes in pro bodybuilding and figure competitions.
Okay.
So I continued to work with her so that my rebound wouldn't be horrible, but everybody rebounds. It's the nature of the business. Depending on your body type, you may rebound, 30 pounds your first week. And it's very common that happens. In 1 week, we'll gain 30 pounds. I just progressively over the next 3 months started gaining weight. a healthy weight, blah, blah, blah. So probably in the 3 months, I gained 35 pounds, which is still pretty small for me, myself. And then you just continually creep up. I started lifting really heavy to gain strength. So I had to eat more. I had to stop doing cardio and everything like that. But also at the same time, doing competitions really kind of wrecks your metabolism, so that you can rebound really hard, which is what happened to me and is still happening to me. So it's not something I really recommend doing.
Right.
But that's what happens. You just rebound and you gain basically all your weight back and sometimes a little bit more.
Right. So it sounds like those extremes are something, obviously, according to our topic today, something that you're not fond of, and you found some happy medium in your own life, and I'm sure that's what you're teaching people today, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So everybody, all of my clients, they've been really successful with losing weight, and they want to get down to that, like, oh my God, I want to be this size and I want to be skinny and I want to look like this. And I'm like, well, it's not you. That's not you. So I am not 125 pounds. That's not me.
Right.
I am also not 240 pounds. That's not me either.
Right.
So we have skewed the word diet, right? So diet, coming from the Greek means way of life, right? We've skewed that word a little bit to make it like, oh, this diet is this, and I got to eat only cabbage soup, and I got to eat, just beets, or something like that. So we restrict ourselves so much that we end up going to one extreme or the other, bouncing back exactly like I did. So it becomes detrimental to your system. So I try to tell everybody, it's like, learn from my experience, learn from what has happened, what I'm doing. It's a happy medium. You got to find where your body is comfortable.
Right.
So it's like every time I could lose weight, I could gain weight, whatever, but my body always wants to stay at a good, 176 pounds. That's where it comes back to. So it's like, well, it's not heavy for me. It's actually kind of okay. I may not be a supermodel, but hey, I could lift 200 pounds over my head. It's things like that. So,
and that's hugely important. I mean, and so I imagine that you're probably going from, or I have learned to devalue probably the number on the scale and probably value some other markers instead, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've kind of found my happy medium where I don't have to completely restrict my calories. I still eat really clean, but if I want a slice of pizza, I'm going to eat it. I don't do it every day.
Right.
I may do it once a month, but just because your taste buds change and everything, so I don't normally eat like that. But if I feel like it, I will. I'll pay for it the next day, but that's okay.
Right.
But finding that happy medium is where it is, and knowing what your body type is, and where you're comfortable, to where you're not starving yourself, you're also not binging. And it takes a lot of time, and sometimes you have to sit in front of the mirror and look at yourself naked and be like, not so bad, give yourself props for what you've done, and where you are, because it takes a lot, especially if you're a very clean eater and you may not have the perfect body, you may not do anything, but you still can do things. You could still maybe run down the street, you can maybe walk down the street. Maybe you can snatch, 300 pounds over your head, or squat 250 pounds.
Right.
That's amazing.
Right.
So any of those things are just amazing. Can you, you sit on the elliptical, you do whatever. Your body is capable of doing so many things, and just focusing on that number on the scale has just totally put these people in a mindset that they're not good enough.
Right.
When you're completely, you can do whatever you want, hopefully, and those things that your body can do is what should have the meaning, not what you look like and not what is on the scale.
I totally agree, 100%. I couldn't have said it any better. So how much time do we have before we lose you to the West Coast?
I am moving December 17th, and I'm very excited because while it's going to be cold and dark,
I hate you.
I will be learning how to surf.
Actually, I should send you some contact information. I actually have taken several lessons, surfing lessons in Mission Beach in San Diego. It's where I went. Flew there particularly to take those lessons, stay for a week at a time, and
Yeah.
then took it all around the world. We went to Costa Rica, went surfing, went all over the world surfing, based on the basics that I learned in San Diego. So I'm going to send you some contact information. It should be good.
Because I'm staying in Mission Beach.
Oh, you're going immediately straight to like prime spot. That's ridiculous. All right, so I've got a month or a month and a half to find time to get up there and have you kick my butt in your studio before you leave, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Anytime.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tracy. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Talk to you soon.